Hi, welcome to my channel. I know it has been a while since the last time I posted a video, and I also know that this channel has not reached a whole lot of people. I do hope that with time it will reach more people, especially those that are going through the topic, the main topic of this channel, which is domestic violence. The main purpose for me to have created this channel is to share my experience, to let those that are still in the situation know that you are not alone, and also to let you know that you can get out and you can one day be safe. Today's main topic that I want to talk about is the aftermath of leaving. There are so many different topics to cover when it comes to domestic violence, and lately I have read a lot in online forum, with people asking different questions like, I've left him, now I feel this way, or I've left him, now what? So the main topic today is, I've left, now what? Now, I'm not at all a professional, so I can only talk about what I went through, the internal struggles I had, the emotions I felt immediately after and after a while. So, to give a little short story, I was in a toxic and violent relationship for about a year and a half. The first 6 months or so was pretty okay. I'm not the most observant person, so there might have been red flag that I completely missed. Followed by a year of drama, and violence, of course. I went through a lot emotionally and mentally. At one point, I really thought that I was the bad person, that everything was my fault. It was my fault to anger him, this and that. But one day, a very wise person asked me if that's how I wanted to continue to live the rest of my life. And it was quite a wake-up call. I mean, it wasn't like ding, but it did get me to start thinking, is this it? Is this really how I want the rest of my life to be? At the time, I was 27. Yeah, I was about 27 years old. And I knew that 27 was relatively young, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized, no, that's not how I wanted to live the rest of my life. So I started to think about, if I were to leave, how would I do it? I, of course, thought of different scenarios, but how I ended up doing it was definitely not how I imagined it. I left with the purse and the clothes on my back and nothing else. I didn't pack a bag. He didn't know I was leaving. I left. Walked out. April Fool's Day, actually. April Fool's Day 2006. Because my guardian angel told me, leave now and don't come back. That voice was so loud in my head that I knew I had to do it. So I left. And of course, immediately I felt relief. That was the first thing I felt. And I booked a one-way flight out of that town. And as the plane was flying away, I cried. And I think it was a mix of many emotions behind those tears. Relief was definitely one of them. I was kind of sad because I never thought I would be leaving like that. I also never thought I was gonna be able to leave, but I put it off. So I guess there was a little joy behind those tears too. It was just a very it was a mix of many emotions. I can't list them all. And the following 2 weeks, I flew thousands and thousands of miles away from him to my birthplace, actually. I wanted to get as far away as I could to a country where he didn't speak the language, so he couldn't possibly find me. I will be walking on the street on the way to meet up with a friend or whatnot, and I will all of a sudden feel panic, or maybe I was being followed. I will constantly look over my shoulders. What I didn't know at the time was that's what PTSD is like. I didn't know. So I had to stop recording last night because my husband came home from walking the dog and we were going to watch something together. So I stopped the recording and decided to pick up again today since I am waiting, not for the cable company, but something similar, the security alarm company. They're supposed to call so we could go over the upgrade of the system together, and they haven't called. Anyway, so back on topic. So I was talking about PTSD, and that's what happened. For the 2 weeks I was hiding in my home country, I was constantly looking over my shoulders, having lots of nightmares, basically replay of different episodes of things that happened. And I'm sorry if my dogs start barking. It is daytime, so there are more activities outside that gets them barking or jumping around like Chloe just did. And 2 weeks later, my father, who was also there at the time, told me that it would be better for me not to stay there, even though it was my birth country and he had a home there, as he was running his business there. I had originally wanted to stay and get a job there and just keep him company. He said, no, you haven't been here in such a long time. You basically grew up in the US. You don't know the environment here. It'd be better that you go back to the US to be with your sisters and your mom. You'll have a better support system there. As much as I disagreed and as much as I wanted to stay, I didn't have a valid argument to object to that. And I did miss my sisters. I missed my mom. So I came back to the US, got a job through a temp agency, and started working. And I did believe that keeping myself busy was a good way to not think about the past, to not think about what happened. but I didn't realize at the time that the mental damage the year of living in the toxic and abusive environment had done to me. I wasn't aware of it at the time. I was, but wasn't. Like, I knew I wasn't whole. I just didn't realize how bad it was. So I didn't go to therapy. Luckily, I have amazing sisters. They were always there for me, and that's my younger dog. My sister at the time was studying, I don't remember if it was for LSAT or bar exam. I think she had finished law school at that by then, so I think she might have been studying for the bar exam. So she was always up late, and many nights when I couldn't sleep or woke up from nightmares and couldn't go back to sleep, I would always find her studying in the dining room, and I would go, and she would put her book down to listen to me vent, to hear what I wanted to talk about, and sometimes make a warm meal for me. So I think with supportive family, healing did come faster than I anticipated. But for the longest time, I didn't, of course, want to jump into a relationship with anyone. And I still checked, like, behind me. And I still do these days, but nowadays it's more for security reason. Like, if I go to an ATM machine, I just make sure I'm more aware of my surrounding compared to the younger me, put it that way. But for a long time, I will always check my car. As I'm walking towards my car, I'm looking kind of like that to look under, make sure there was no one hiding under my car. It was an unreasonable fear, I guess you can call it that he'd be hiding under my car or inside my car. So I kept my car relatively clean, so if anyone was hiding in the back seat, I could see it from the outside. And part of that fear came from when I was still with him. He, of course, knew that I feared him, and that given a chance I would leave, even though I would deny it. He wasn't stupid. He's actually a very smart person. Not that I wanted to praise him, but he's not stupid. Sorry. It's daytime, there's a lot more activities outside, so yeah. But I do welcome their distraction, because then it doesn't, remembering those memories does sometimes bring my mood down, and having my dogs here to kind of snap me out of it, it helps. So he had more than once made threats like, if you leave me, I know you'll go back to your family, I know where they live, I will come and track you down, I'll find you, your family. I don't want to say that word, but he made that threat more than once, and that was part of the reason that took me longer than it should have for me to leave. And I call it unreasonable fear because later on when I thought about it, I was pretty certain that he wouldn't have the means to come all the way across the country to track me down, because he was an addict, and most addicts, they lack funds. So without the funding, realistically, he wouldn't be able to come and track me down. But for the first, I want to say, the first year, or at least the first 6 months, I had that fear that he would come after me, and worse, my family. But I think that the first 6 months was the hardest. A lot of it was looking over my shoulders, being afraid. Then, without letting my guard down too much, I did start to relax a little bit, go out with friends every now and then. Tried going on dates a few times. Nothing panned out. I wasn't ready. And I would tell those out there that have recently gotten themselves out, don't rush into dating. Having a rebound is not absolutely the worst, but there's definitely no need to rush into another relationship until you're good and ready. You know that you're emotionally and mentally ready to have a life with someone else. Until then, don't rush. Love yourself, because that's what I did. And I waited until I really felt ready, and with encouragement of some friends, then I went on an online dating website where I then met my now husband, who showed me what love really is. And I really wasn't even used to being spoiled the way he spoils me. Like the first few months of the relationship, I constantly felt like, is this real? Am I gonna one day wake up and it's just all a dream? I'm still in that poop hole of a place. It's still being abused, manipulated into believing that I was the worst person possible. And now that's something we'll talk about another day. Today's more about the aftermath. So I do hope that this gives some of you out there some hope that, number one, you can get out. You should get out. And then number two, as scary as it is to be out of your familiar surrounding, it can only get better once you leave. Once you leave this toxic relationship, this place, then it can get better from there. He might make you think that your family and your friends have all left you and they won't be there for you. From my experience, he was wrong. Friends more than welcome my rejoining of the friendship, put it that way. They understood why I basically disappeared for like a year and a half. They were very much supportive of my decision. My family more than welcomed me home. My father, who was so sad about me leaving home to be with him, to be with the ex-boyfriend, he more than forgave me. I broke my dad's heart when I left, and he took me back because he's my dad and he loves me. And I'm sorry, I still get a little emotional when I talk about this, but every day. I wake up and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for life, for a second chance. Even though it has been 16 years. 16 and a half, more like. Because I left that relationship on April 1st, 2006. And to me, that's always my rebirth day. Yeah. And I want you to know, if you are still stuck, you can get yourself out. If you need someone to talk to, you're more than welcome to send me a message. Um, or, leave a comment and I'll reach out to you privately. Thank you again for watching, and we'll talk again next time. Be well.